To undo one, the first thing that comes to mind is asking the collective of parents and possibly players, maybe just a team vote, shoot out an email or a text, say, what days are the best times. Maybe the schedules aren't lining up. That could be an issue, right? It's like, for whatever reason, the time that you thought wasn't the best time that everyone can make it. So maybe there might be one day in particular that everyone could be in attendance. Another strategy is that you could use is just focus on making practice a lot of fun, right? All the parents talk. So if they see you put together a simple and effective, fun practice routine, I think you're going to see attendance and practices go up, and then you're going to see games. Attendance go up, right? So I think the question is to you is, can I create a more fun practice routine that get people talking? And the way that you can do that is it's a 4-step routine for simple to execute a simple practice session. It's possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then playing to big goals on a small field with your team split up into 3 teams, and the team sitting out on the outside playing as neutral players with 1 touch, right? So you do that every single practice, and as you do that, your players will actually get better they'll get better not only technically, but they're going to get better at executing the practice, because it's like you're creating game-like scenarios in each of the 3 segments that lead up into actual gameplay to finishing on goal. So the key is, right, the reason why it's so effective is because it's so simple. You got a lot of these coaches, they're asking for they want new drills, they want novel drills, they're asking for, some of their drills, there's all these moving parts. This is a simple, repeatable practice routine that's just so much fun that even, right, Doug Nevins, who taught us this routine. This is a routine from 2007, 2008, and maybe 2009, right? So that's 10, that's close to 14 years ago, and it's still branded in my brain just because I just love his practice routine because it was so simple and so much fun. Okay, so possession games. You want to make sure, right, at the most basic level, a possession game is 2 teams. If you have odd numbers, you could put your best midfielder as a neutral player with unlimited touch, and you just say, okay, first, you connect 4 passes without the other team touching the ball, and you score 1 point, and then it's first team to 5 points wins, or first team to pass the ball amongst each other without the other team touching it, you get 1 point, and then 5 points wins the round, and then you go right into the next thing, which would be finishing on goal. You want to make sure that your possession game, the field isn't too big, right? Because you want to create a restraint that's going to lead to an increase in creativity of ball movement, and you want to have the players maximize the space, right? Sometimes I remember my coaches freezing play during possession games, and he would say, everyone take a look at where you are on the field, and the field would be this however big, and then yet all the players were in this very tight area, so the attacking team wasn't using the full width of the field to create space to make it harder for the defenders to defend. And then you could start to limit the touch, right? If it's U12 and it sounds like it's kind of a mid-level team, right, not that advanced, you can start to restrict the touch count to improve their quality and their speed of play and their creativity on and off the ball. So you could say, okay, when they start, they have unlimited touches, and then you say, okay, then you call out, say, now it's 2 touch, 1 on the takeover. One on the takeover means when one team takes it over from the other team, they have an extra touch, right? So if there's a little scuffle for the ball, the player gets away from another player, then they have 2 more touches with 1 on the turnover to get the ball off their feet. And then as you progress and as teams progress, if they're getting better tactically, or you coach teams that are higher level tactically or technically, then you could start to get to a point where you're saying, okay, now it's one touch, one on the takeover, right? Everyone's got to play with one touch and then one on the takeover, right? And that's pretty challenging if teams can do that. So the key is to limit space. Use the natural lines of the field, right? You have the halfway line, and you have the sideline that makes a natural line. So you could use up to the 18 to make it so you spend less time creating cone grids and more time having fun and getting touches. Next thing you go into is finishing on goal, about 10 steps above the 18, right? 10 yards at start. You start the line 10 yards beyond the 18, the penalty box, and then it's rapid fire, no whistle. Players they dribble as fast as they can, and then as they get to the top of the key, it's low, hard driven ball to the left and to the right of the netting. You want to make sure that the players are hitting the netting. You don't want to give the goalkeeper a free save if the ball doesn't even hit the frame, right? You want to tell the players, make the keeper make a save, right? You'd rather have a goal, have a shot on goal and make the keeper make a save, rather than you miss the goal completely. So then it's like the goalkeeper gets a free save, and that's no good. So really make sure your players are hitting the frame when they're doing this drill. And then the second part of this drill is called slots, so the first part is Slotsville. The second part is Volleysville. That's what Doug Nevins called it. So at the same starting spot, players now hand you the ball, right? Everyone's got the ball now in their hands, and they hand you the ball, and you're facing the goal. Your players, they hand you the ball, right? The lines. This is the goal. You're the goal, and the coach is facing this way, and I'm the player. I hand my ball to the coach, and then I stand with my back now facing the goal. You as a coach, you throw it over their head, they spin around, and then the ball hits the ground one touch, then you snap a volley right on goal, right? So maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of Slotsville, 5 minutes of Volleysville. And then you go right into crossing and finishing. 4 lines starting at the halfway line. Maybe you have your winger lines, the right and the left winger line, a little bit offset, right? Maybe a little bit closer, starting closer, so that they're cross, so that the strikers, the 2 strike finishing lines, right, when they make a crisscross run, they're not arriving before the cross comes in, right? So the crossing lines start a little bit in front of the finishing lines, right? So it's 2 crossing lines that are alternating, and then two lines in the middle. The finishing lines in the middle, and they can start where the center circle is, right? There's the center point, and then there's the center circle. So on either side of the semicircle, that's where the players can start, and then they crisscross their runs, and then finish one touch on goal. And you want to make sure that the players on the outside, the wingers, when they're making their run, they make a slightly curved run so that it's easy for them to cross the ball. And then, right, 2 or 3 times you might have to reset the balls to the crossing lines, to the left line and the right line crossing lines, because the ball will go into the goal, or the ball will go into will go behind if they miss the frame, so they got to go chase the ball. So maybe 2 or 3 times you might need to pause this drill so that you can just get balls and players alternate lines. Okay. From there, you go right into, you bring the ball, ideally you have big goals that you have access to, and you bring them close together on a small field. And the reason why you do this is because this is going to make it so that when you split your team up into 3, and you put one team on the outside surrounding the field as neutral players, there's a lot of things going on here. The reason why you want to split the team up into 3, this is the most important part, and this is because it's going to elevate inter-team competition. You're going to raise the intensity of your training session, because if you just have 2 teams playing against each other and someone scores a goal on another team, there's nothing gained and there's nothing lost. So that's why if you have 3 teams playing with one team on the outside as neutral players, when one team gets scored on, they got to get off the field. So it creates a dynamic that naturally raises the intensity and competition of practice. if you can raise the intensity of your practice higher, if your practice training is more intense than any other team's training intensity, playing intensity during games, you're going to be a very hard team to beat, right? It's rare that you'll lose a game when your training, when your intensity level is higher than the other team, right? So, some problems that might arise is if you don't have access to big goals. If you don't have access, let's say you only have access to one big goal, you could make, let's say one side has, you put a big goal on one side, and on the other side you do two gates that are on opposite sides of the field. So this makes attacking and defending, well, it kind of makes it challenging both ways. It's kind of challenging to defend both goals, and it's kind of challenging to actually attack both goals. So this is great. This translates into great training for on-field play, because it's going to force attackers to switch the point of attack rapidly, and it's going to force defenders to switch their point of defense. Right? Let's say they have one gate blocked off, and then now the attacking team tries to go to the other gate. It forces them to adapt, and so right, you want to have a goal scored about every 2 to 4 minutes. If it takes 5, 6, 7 minutes for a goal to be scored, your goals are way too far apart, right? What should start to happen is someone makes a great move, right? Someone beats a player, or there's a great spell of play, or a defender misses their mark, and there should be rapid goal scoring, right? So it's rapid transitions from offense to defense. That's really why this game becomes really effective, right? Some coaches use gameplay, they use scrimmages as like a reward for practice. And this training routine by Doug Nevins, who's a former Gatorade Coach of the Year, still coaching for West Orange High School in New Jersey, I believe, it would just be included, right? It wasn't a reward for like obedience or for good play. It was just built into his training sessions. So we did it. So he taught us this training routine. We did the same thing for like 2 years straight. Every single practice, it was the same format, but there's variations. Sometimes he did a different possession game. Sometimes we started the finishing line from a slightly different angle, right? So there's little variations you can work into it. But if you do the same thing every practice, it's gonna elevate. It's gonna make it more fun. It's fun because it's so simple. It's easy to understand, and it raises the intensity level of the whole team. And this is going to translate to more fun in games because you're going to be more competitive. So hopefully this helps. Reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.